CBS News Congressional Correspondent Nancy Cordes joins me now from Washington. Nancy, let me first start off by asking you about Hillary Clinton's strategy of tying herself as closely as possible to the president. How is that working for her?
Well, theoretically, it should be a great strategy, right? The president is very popular still within Democratic circles, and he's incredibly popular among African-American voters, the types of voters that she is trying to appeal to in South Carolina. It's also an area where she can draw a distinct contrast between herself and Senator Sanders. That's something she's had a challenge doing, finding areas where she is in better shape than he is with Democratic primary voters who tend to lean further to the left where he is right now. And so she can point to various occasions when Sanders has said that he's not the president's biggest fan, that perhaps somebody should run against the president. And it speaks to not just the fact that she's closer to the president than he is, but that she's a more dedicated Democrat than he is. You know, she often brings up the fact that she has been a longtime Democrat, and that's meant to point out that he isn't exactly a Democrat, hasn't always affiliated himself with the Democratic Party. He is a Democratic socialist. He's an independent in Congress, and she's arguing that she has been more loyal to the party than he has.
So her comments about Sanders come after comments Tuesday night arguing that Republicans who oppose an Obama nominee are using, quote, racially coded language. Talk to us about the fight over African-American voters. Just how intense is it?
Obviously, this is the kind of comment that is going to resonate with African-American voters, particularly in South Carolina, who feel that this president hasn't gotten a fair shake, in part because he is the first African-American president. The fight for African-American voters is really fierce right now. You've got Bernie Sanders making appearances with Killer Mike, this popular African-American rapper, praying with ministers in South Carolina, both of them meeting with civil rights leaders in Harlem, both of them pledging to really radically improve conditions for African Americans in this country, saying that they are going to overhaul the criminal justice system and that they're going to improve education and close the wage gap. And so they're really making very big promises. Hillary Clinton, in particular, since the beginning of her campaign, has been making it clear that she wants to be the candidate who tries to embrace diversity and reduce discrimination. One of the first speeches she ever gave was about race. And that's the reason that she's been arguing on the stump that Senator Sanders is kind of a Johnny-come-lately to this issue. She says she's been involved with these communities all along, and he's just talking about these issues now. He says, hey, look, I've been in this fight for a long time, and says that he was there at the March on Washington and was protesting for better conditions for African Americans back in the 1960s.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see that dynamic playing out. Well, a new poll out Wednesday, Nancy, shows Clinton and Sanders essentially tied nationally, 44 to 42%. And a new poll out of Nevada, which votes on Saturday, also shows a tie. But it wasn't that long ago that Nevada was a Clinton state. How concerned is the Clinton campaign? Can they afford a second straight loss?
They can afford another loss if they follow it up with a big win in South Carolina, especially because they're sort of already downplaying Nevada, arguing that, oh, hey, you know, it's not all that different demographically from New Hampshire and Iowa anyway, which incidentally is not true. Iowa and New Hampshire are less than 5% Latino. Nevada's about 25% Latinos. But, you know, it doesn't look good, obviously, and this shows the impact that momentum can have. She was leading by double digits in Nevada for months, and then suddenly Bernie Sanders wins big in New Hampshire by 22 points, and poof, her lead is gone. So that shows you that you can have kind of a domino effect here, where people see he's a big winner in New Hampshire, suddenly they start taking him a lot more seriously, they start listening to his message, and they switch sides. The good news for Clinton, or you could argue good news for either candidate, is that about a quarter of Nevada voters say they're still undecided.
You mentioned South Carolina. Hillary Clinton holds a commanding lead there. What is the margin, though, Nancy, that she needs to win by for it to be considered a true victory?
You know, I think political types like us sort of chew on the margin of victory and say, oh, well, she was supposed to win by more, but she didn't win by that much. What does that mean? But I think for average voters, you know, a win is a win. Either she won in South Carolina or she lost in South Carolina. And so I think at the end of the day, if she makes it out of South Carolina, where she is leading dramatically among African Americans, but she's trailing pretty significantly among white voters, which could be a problem for her going forward. You know, as long as they can get out of there with a win, I think that the Clinton campaign will be happy.
All right. Nancy Cordes in Washington for us. Nancy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.